Welcome to Prism of Torah with Rabbi Aaron Prisman, engaging Divrei Torah, packed with stories and practical insights. Find us wherever you get your podcasts or at prismoftorah.org.
Shalom Uvracha. In this week's double Parsha, Achrei Mos-Kedoshim, specifically in Kedoshim, we have a very famous pasuk. The pasuk says, "Ve'avta l'reacha kamocha." We will learn something very interesting about what happened to talmidei Rabbi Akiva and what it means to fight your Yetzer Hara in this week's podcast. Rabbi Akiva's signature teaching, as we know, is "Ve'avta l'reacha kamocha." You should love your fellow Jew just like you love yourself. Ze klal gadol b'Torah. That is one of the most basic rulings of the Torah. And we know that this was his derech in life. The great principle of the entire Torah is to love your fellow Jew. Yet the pilla is, how did it come out to be? Like the Gemara in Yevamos tells us, that 24,000 of his talmidim died in one period. And what was the reason that they died? Shelo nahagu kavod ze leze. They did not treat each other with proper honor. Now, the Gemara in Ksuvos describes these same talmidim as tzanua u'meuleh, which means modest and elevated. The question begs itself, how can it be that their rabbi, Rabbi Akiva, whose entire derech was about honoring your fellow Jew and your friends, ve'avta l'reacha kamocha, loving your fellow Jew, how can it be that they fell in the exact domain, the same domain that their rabbi, the Heilige Rabbi Akiva, taught them is one of the most important klalim? How can this be? So I want to suggest that the answer is hidden in the Gemara of Sukkah, Daf Nun Beis Amud Aleph. Over there, the Gemara brings a very important concept. The concept is Kol hagadol mechavero yitzro gadol hemeno, which literally means the greater the person is, so too his evil inclination, the Yetzer Hara, is bigger. Rav Dessler has a famous kuntus called Nekudas Habechira in Michtav Eliyahu Chelek Aleph, that he talks about the concept of Bechira, and his main idea is called Nekudas Habechira. And he explains every person has a different battlefield depending on his level. The higher the level of a person is, his spiritual level, then in order to make it a fair matchup, he has to, HaKadosh Baruch Hu ensures that also his evil inclination, his Yetzer Hara, also grows. And hence, as he becomes a bigger person, religiously, spiritually, then his battlefield changes. Everything that he conquered already, that's not even a question. For sure, he's not even drawn to do those sins anymore. Everything that's above his battlefield, that's also not even a question. He's for sure going to do those, let's call them little sins, because in his eyes, he doesn't even think it's a sin. That's not even in his radar. So everyone has their Nekudas Habechira, and it has to be like that. Why? Because why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us in this world? In order to be able to have nisyonot and grow. And we grow through the nisyonot HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us tests, and every time we pass a test, we go up in our ladder. However, as we go and we get bigger and we go to a higher level in the ladder, in order for the next matchup to be fair, the evil inclination has to be also bigger. The Yetzer Hara has to be bigger, so it's a fair matchup. If it's not a fair matchup, what's the point? And there's no point in life if there's no matchup. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to ensure we always have a matchup. And that is, in a nutshell, what Rav Dessler says. And as you grow, your Nekudas Habechira grows with you. And I want to suggest that this is the deep understanding of Kechol sheben adam gadol, that when a person is on a higher level spiritually, so his Yetzer Hara, his evil inclination, is also grows, and hence it's bigger than a simple person that didn't reach such high levels. Perhaps a good mashal for this is a champion boxer who faces opponents and he's having a close matchup when he fights them, yet if he would fight a beginner, he would knock him out in one round. But in order for this champion boxer to have a fair matchup, HaKadosh Baruch Hu ensures he has a Yetzer Hara that's fitting for him to have a real matchup. This fits beautifully with the Gemara in Sukkah, the same Gemara I was quoting earlier, a few lines earlier than that. The Gemara says that in the future, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will show the Yetzer Hara to both the righteous and the evil people, the tzaddikim and the reshaim. The tzaddikim see a towering mountain and they cry, wow, how did we ever defeat that? And the reshaim see a thin strand of a hair and they cry, how did we fail to defeat that? The obvious question is, what does the evil inclination look like? A hair or a mountain? And the answer is, everyone starts off with their Yetzer Hara, their Nekudas Habechira, on a very low level, like a hair. But every time you win a battle, your battlefield changes, and hence also your evil inclination grows. Tzaddikim, this evil inclination, the Yetzer Hara, grew so much it became a mountain. And that's why they were crying. They couldn't believe that they reached the championship level, and hence, to make it a fair matchup, so too the Yetzer Hara had to be on the championship level. Based on what we're saying, each one of us has more than one ladder, because there are many dimensions that we have to work on ourselves to become better people. Be it working on tznius, being modest, be it on doing chesed to others, be it on avodah bin adam la Hashem or bin adam lechavero. And hence, with this idea, we can understand very well why it makes a lot of sense that talmidim Rabbi Akiva, on their level of course, they did fail in their battlefield. And that is because Rabbi Akiva, for him, it was so important. Ve'avta l'reacha kamocha, you should love your fellow Jew like yourself. Obviously, he ensured that his 24,000 talmidim will work on this point in a very extreme fashion. And hence the Nekudas Habechira became on a very high level. Hence their opponent, the Yetzer Hara, in this domain also had to grow immensely. And that's why, dafka for them, it was easier to fall because their battlefield was so high. We're not talking about chas v'shalom that they dissed each other or put each other down, but rather on their level, perhaps it was a smile that they should have given each other after someone wasn't in the Beis Midrash for one day and suddenly they saw them. They should have given them a smile straight away. For them, that was their nisayon. They reached such a high level that every lack of every sensitivity to their fellow friend, on their level, that was a loss. And hence, it makes a lot of sense. It's not, how can it be that they failed in this? It's not despite, it's because due to the fact that they were working so much in this domain, they reached such high levels, and hence, their opponents, their Yetzer Hara in this area was so strong that it makes a lot of sense that they failed on their level when you normalize it to their level. Perhaps this is a diuk in what the Gemara says. The Gemara did not say that they were mevaze each other. It did not say that they cursed each other out or hit each other or something like that. All it says is on their level, lo nahagu kavod zelazeh. They didn't give enough honor to each other on a very, very dakis level, meaning the Yetzer Hara attacks them on nuances most people cannot even perceive as an nisayon. They won't even understand what was wrong. So he gave him half a smile, not a full smile. That's still very nice. But for them, HaKadosh Baruch Hu expected the level they reached to give a full smile. At ground level, these are not even mitzvahs anyone would think about. No one would think they're doing anything wrong. But at their level, this was the Nekudas Habechira, and these were their battlefields. They did not fall despite their greatness in Ve'avta l'reacha kamocha. They fell because of it. I would like to end with a story I heard from Rabbi David Benuson, who I think this story fits us very well. He said that he has a very close friend, that he was like his rabbi. He was like the rabbi for this friend of his, and he said he could not believe what a true Baal Bitachon is. He saw it was such a high level of believing in Hashem. They learned together a known Emunah Sefer called Chovat HaLevavot, cover to cover, twice. And based on that, it upgraded his belief so much that he decided to give more tzedakah, more charity than one really needs to give. 20% meiser every month. He had this Amazon business, and bitachon was not just a slogan for him, but rather it was literally his life. And the ripple effect was unbelievable. It was as if Hashem was literally smiling back at him. The business took off like a rocket. He made more money than he ever dreamed of. And then, as if a switch was flipped, the business slowly, gradually started to tank. $20,000 a day became almost nothing. He watched his saving go down big time. However, he kept giving 20% of his earnings, and even on days he didn't make anything, he still wanted to give charity. But he didn't understand what was going on. Slowly he was digging up into his saving, despite the fact he was continuing to give. So he decided to call this rabbi he liked to listen on Torah anytime. His name is Rabbi Brog from Ohio. And he said to him, Rabbi, I'm boteach, I believe in Hashem. I'm giving meiser. What's happening? How could this be happening? So he told him, we don't know Hashem's cheshbonot, but I can tell you one thing. Do not get off the train. Sometime Hashem takes the results and throws them into the test as well. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to know, why are you doing this? Why are you giving tzedakah? Are you giving tzedakah because Hashem said whoever gives so much tzedakah, he'll get back even more? Are you doing it for that? Is a person keeping Shabbos because it says, Kihi mekor habracha, and for the next week you're going to get abundance because you kept Shabbos? Or are you keeping Shabbos and you're giving charity because Hashem said that that's a good thing to do and that is what you should do because that is the right thing to do? Exactly there, Hashem is testing you. And then, after a couple of months, for 5 more months, it still was going bad. But suddenly, after 5 months, something changed. A person offered him a new product to sell on Amazon, and it went unbelievably. It exploded in the positive sense, and he started making more than he would ever believe. Not that we needed this to be the ending of the story, but it was. At the end of the day, we have to know, as we grow, our opponent grows as well. And we have to be ready for the fight, because we have to be on the watch. But as we do that, we gain not only amazing reward, but we gain the biggest present, which is becoming a better person in this world and gaining a big chelik, Mirtz Hashem, in the world to come. Have a good Shabbos.
This concludes another episode of The Prism of Torah. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable. If you did, please subscribe to the podcast and give a 5-star rating. You can also find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts or our own website, prismoftorah.com, where we have a full archive of all our past episodes. We would like to thank Yona Vefa for the recording equipment and Eli Podcast Productions for handling all our post-podcast productions. Join us next week for another enlightening conversation on The Prism of Torah.